Shack Together 54. Thanks for being here. We had some scheduling challenges today that led to our original guest, Josh Broadwell, who is responsible for Shack News' 10 out of 10 review of Wanderstop, not being able to be here. So we do miss him and hope he can join soon. But we were able to get Sam Chandler to join us, and he comes in about halfway through the show, maybe a little bit past halfway. So on today's show, we are going to talk quite a bit about Wanderstop, Josh Broadwell's review. Very interesting game and a curious one. We also touch on Rainbow Six Siege X's preview, and who could forget Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Did you see that trailer? If you have not, go watch that thing. That's quite a trailer. We've got news on Spectre Divide going offline, Niantic selling all of its stuff, Nintendo opening another flagship store in California, and Apple intelligence delays. All this and so much more on today's show. Thanks for being here. We're going to kick it off right now. Here we go.
I can do the first ever cold open unboxing.
Wow.
Pure audio medium.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love an audio unboxing?
Come on, should we do it?
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
this is from LRG Warehouse, Limited Run Games Warehouse.
Okay.
This is going to be embarrassing. Let's see. Okay, listen to the tape. Okay, I don't know if you could hear the tape here. Did you hear that?
I mean, a little. Not really. Your Discord canceling.
Apple AirPods noise cancellation with Discord noise cancellation.
Yep.
You can hear my grunting.
I hear grunts and then silence.
Yeah, this is solid.
Ooh, okay. Box open, cardboard on the floor of my office.
Okay.
And what is it? It is called the Astro City Mini by SEGA. And it's an arcade, a little mini arcade thing that has like 40 plus games. It comes with a console, a USB cable, an HDMI cable, and an instruction manual. It's only for people 15 years or older. So are
you sure it doesn't say 50?
15. Crazy. Because I was thinking the same thing. And we're talking about Virtua Fighter, Space Harrier, Golden Axe, Wonder Boy, a bunch of Wonder Boys, Sega Ninja.
The Puyo Puyo.
There's Puyo Puyo, Puyo Puyo 2, Columns 2.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And then other stuff. Thunder Force.
Cyber Police, SWAT, and Wonder Boy.
Yeah, Cyber Police, Shadow Dancer, Arabian Fight.
It's got Sonic Boom on it.
Sonic Boom. So
they dragged out the worst Sonic game.
Pretty cool. We did it. 37 titles.
It's got Golden Axe on it. Dude, just looking at the list of games, I'm like, it's worth it.
I mean,
especially that's a cool looking collectible. And apparently it has an HDMI port.
Yeah, and it was like 50% off.
Ooh.
I don't know.
$54
on Limited Run. And I'm opening it now even further. Here, hold on. Let me grunt. And it's open now.
Wow.
And
Shinobi's on it.
What's that?
Is it battery powered?
Shinobi's in it. What was that, Joe?
Is it battery or
USB?
Is USB. Oh,
that's
wait,
good.
There's battery. Wait, let me see. There's a port. Oh, no, that's just etched on. So there's an on and off button, an HDMI port, two USB-A. I think, is it USB-A? The regular fat USB?
Yes. Yeah.
And then there's a phone jack, but it's not, it just says phone. It's not actually a phone jack, and a DC in for the...
They probably left some of like the markings that would be on the back of the actual arcade cabinets.
But there's actually like plugs. And there's like...
It does say that you do need a commercial AC adapter if you want to power it. So it's a USB-A. Like any iPhone, or I guess not iPhone, but like any regular USB-A that does 5 volts.
Yeah, I wanted... I have a USB-C handy here. Look at
That's the problem now. Is like we're all entering the world of USB-C cables, and
guys, there's like a little text on it that's by the joystick that says high resolution graphics and stereo of the art sound. Double your playing enjoyment! Exclamation point. Stereo of the art, baby. Okay, that's what I got.
Stereo of the art.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think like what.
Congrats.
Thanks.
It's missing Echo the Dolphin.
It's missing a few things. Was Echo ever in the arcade?
I guess not.
It might not have been. This might just... I mean, this feels like just pure arcade.
It does have Altered Beast. Okay.
And that was
I mean, that alone, yeah, that was, I would say, better in the arcade than on the Genesis. But then it came to the Genesis, and it was like this holy crap moment that you could play Altered Beast at your home console or whatever. But yeah,
not bad. Not a bad.
I'm looking at the list of games that you got and the quality of the product. It seems like it's actually well made, John. Like that's cool.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I think it's. I love seeing these retro devices that come out with HDMI output, because it's like, oh, you can actually stream or capture these things too. Like they're being smarter with how they make these things.
Yeah, I would agree. So that was it,
sweet.
and now I'm going to rebox it.
That's it. It's going right back into the box
And send it back.
It's in the closet.
Damn.
No, I literally have it out of the box and ready to plug in, but I will do that after the show, depending on the show, Joe.
Yeah.
Depending on the game.
Awesome. No, Asif and I are going to hear tap, 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 tap.
Click, clack.
Shack Together in America on the internet. If this is your first time joining us, Shack Together is a Shack News video game podcast featuring myself, your host, Asif Khan, co-host John Benjamin.
Hello.
And our producer, Joe Stasio, is here.
Hi.
Hey, so we might have a guest coming here soon, but we don't right now. So I'm not going to introduce our guests when they're not here.
Right.
But know that we there were 3 potential guests this week. And we're gonna get one of them here eventually. So yeah, this is a video game podcast, but we also talk about food a lot. John, do you want to tell us what you've been playing?
Sure. So I am playing. I'm still on Pirate Yakuza. I'm enjoying the game. The story's pretty good. I mean, actually, I'm digging it. It is like a little bit of a side quest, but I got to figure that people who are into the Yakuza series saw that with, Like a Dragon and stuff like that. I do think it's an 8 out of 10. It's not doing anything super innovative, but it's just a solid, good, solid game. Other than that, I did want to download Split Fiction, but I'm kind of a one game at a time guy. So this might be like a really fast when I'm playing, like when I'm in on this, and you could ask me whatever you want in terms of Yakuza if you're at all interested. But I think it's pretty well trodden ground. That's what I'm kind of focused on, and I'm destroying the game. I mean, look, I have a New Year's resolution in mind, but it's actually fun. Like the combat's really good as you expand the skills. The combat is a lot better than I thought it would be. I thought it would be really very monotonous. I thought it was going to be like Dynasty Warriors, and there are moments that feel like very Dynasty Warriors-esque, but they're kind of seldom. I actually think they could have done that a bit more, where you're literally, it's you and your crew, and that's like 20 people, 20 people with you, and you're going against, like at the same time, 40, people, right? And I'm not talking about like a horde mode. It's like 40 at the same time on a beach. And that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen that often. Otherwise, it's like 20 against 20. Sometimes it's like 20 against 100, but in waves. But I actually like the combat. Goro's not necessarily, the main character is not really growing on me, or, I don't really, he's fine, He's not as irritating as I thought he would be.
It's the whole he has amnesia thing.
Yeah.
It's like, even if they kind of, I'm not saying it retcons his whole existence, but in this game, like, he's not acting like himself for part of it.
He's not.
He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know who he is.
Yeah, so he's not like as badass, but he does have a little bit of that edge that I think, make him endearing to his fan base. But no, I'm enjoying it. I'm ready to wrap it up, I think. So I'm probably like 40 hours in. I think it's going to come to a pretty quick conclusion, but we shall see. And then I'm on to Greener Pastures. I think I'm allowed to say I have like a game that's pretty early on. That's waiting for me to. Maybe I'm not allowed to say. I have to see embargoes and stuff. But there's a big release that's coming out soon.
Oh yeah.
That I am looking forward to playing. But I've got to do one game at a time. I don't know how about you guys?
Sure.
Are you guys able to read multiple books or play multiple games at once?
Oh yeah.
If they're vastly different.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, John. Like
that's what I'm doing
every week, man. I'm playing some kind of game that I hadn't played before, or at least I'm like reading about or watching a game that I haven't played, or
yeah, sure.
But yeah, like it my own personal gaming, like I think there are games that I play like every week, right? And then there's like one game I may play every day. But yeah, just in the business, like if I'm reading, if there's a review or if something's going on where I have early access to a game or whatever, I or preview, I'll check it out. But I understand what you're saying. Like if you get into like, I don't know, a meteor game like a Zelda or a Skyrim or something, it's like hard to be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go play Beautiful Joe for 2 hours.
Yeah, right.
You're like, no, I'm in this mode. I'm in Zelda mode. I'm only playing Zelda right now. I think it just depends on the game. I think you can like mix a live service game into what you're doing right now, and it wouldn't be the end of the world for you. Like, I mean, like a Fortnite or something.
Yeah, sure. Like a little breather.
Yeah.
But I tend to give just some elbow room to big releases, or
Yeah.
I don't know.
That makes sense.
I kind of
it's like what you did that with God of War Ragnarok earlier this year. Like, yeah,
I did.
Get it.
Yeah, and it's like
you're not going to finish if you won't finish if you like you open up God of War and Last of Us 2 and Tears of the Kingdom, and
I just can't enjoy.
Whatever.
I don't know. It's just I can't enjoy something that will require 40 or 50 hours. I can't enjoy it if I'm alternating with another meaty game, like you said, right? But a live service game, yeah, like you dip in here and there. I think that's fair enough. Sometimes you need that palate cleanser. You just want to do something different, and that's why Astro City is my new purchase, and do some old school games every now and again.
Nice. So, Joe, you don't really seem to be playing anything. You just have a statement about PC prices.
Yeah, do you want to touch on this topic?
Yes, I would love to talk about this. I remember, was it a week ago? You were like, hey, these AMD chips have me motivated to buy things. And then AMD went and just... I don't know.
I don't know if it's... I don't even know if it's AMD's fault. I presume it's a scalping issue, just like, when PS5 comes out and you can't get them.
It's kind of that. But it's also, and I mean this with NVIDIA and AMD, the partner markup, like on an MSI card or on like an Asus card right now,
right,
is the highest it's ever been in like at least 10 years.
Right.
You're talking about like MSRP, John, for some of these cards is like $550, and they're selling for like $850.
Wow, that's crazy.
At retail.
I mean, if you're lucky.
And Joe, is that what you're
saying at retail? I'm saying at retail, not the scalpers, Joe, because like scalping prices are above 2,000 for some of these cards now.
Yeah.
So, Joe, is that what you're facing as you're trying to build your PC?
That is what I'm facing. And when we spoke last week, the 9070 and the 9070 XT had just come out, or like a couple days out. That's like the new like 5070 and 5070 Ti competitor.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, this might be viable. On top of, or I was feeling that way on top of the sort of I guess it's AMD's company line, and also all of like, we go to microcenter.com and there's big banners and it's like, we have lots of stock. And then you search for those cards and they do not. There is no stock.
Yeah, supply is limited. Scalpers definitely hurt things again. And retailers don't care about scalpers. They make the money, so they don't care. But it is on the suppliers to find a way to make this not ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'd say this is the worst rollout of GPUs I've seen in a really long time from both companies. There's another thing going on with the NVIDIA chips, Joe. I don't know if you... I've become quite a Gamers Nexus viewer on YouTube. I think they just do great work when it comes to hardware breakdowns. They were talking about... do you guys know what PhysX is? It's like an old NVIDIA tech that was used like in the 2010s.
I remember the name. I don't remember what it did.
It was like destructible environments, John. Like in Mirror's Edge, it was like the glass.
Oh, yeah. That was pretty cool.
So PhysX has been around for like 15 years. And it's one of those things. And like people who have been following NVIDIA, you know, we've covered NVIDIA for years. They always have these like software things that are exclusive to their hardware, right? So right now it's DLSS, right? That's like the whole thing. Yeah. So for a really long time, PhysX was one of those things. And PhysX operated better on NVIDIA hardware because it was accelerated on the GPU, not the CPU. So that was like a whole reason to buy NVIDIA cards, right? So this is something that was supported by the 580. Like, this is how old this tech is. Apparently, the 50 series GPUs no longer support PhysX acceleration on the GPU.
Wow.
So they did this whole video benchmarking Mirror's Edge and like a Metro game and like some of these other games that use it with like a 980 and a 5080 Ti or whatever, 5080.
Super.
And so it's like hilariously bad. You get worse performance on a 5080 than you do on a 980.
Wow.
In a
there's
PhysX
like a
game.
12. There's like a 12-year difference in those cards, something like that.
Yes.
Was it because they're not caring about the gamer anymore compared to like the AI person?
No.
Or what's the deal there?
I think it's part of that.
Yeah.
But the other thing they did is they created this tech, they created this software, they licensed this software to all these publishers and all these developers, and they even paid some developers to incorporate this stuff. And then they said, well, we're just not going to support 32-bit PhysX games anymore.
And like why? But why is that? Like, I mean, that's not a reason. They're just saying we're just not going to do it. That's like my kids saying, like, literally just because. Like,
well, there's probably some minute cost associated with that legacy support, and there is some clear penny pinching.
And there is
with the 50 series.
There's a solution where you can do the PhysX acceleration on the CPU, but it requires like tinkering with your CPU, your computer, right? Like you have to change some settings in game, or you know. Then they did this other thing where they put a 5080 and a 980 in a computer together, and they ran the PhysX processing on the 980 and everything else on the 5080, and it ran perfectly well. But who the hell wants to, have you seen how big these GPUs are? You don't want to put two of them in your tower? That's ridiculous.
Oof.
But yeah, the idea here, John, is they're trying to push the processing load over to the CPU, but even some CPUs still can't handle this PhysX stuff.
Wow.
So it's just an example of like how, like you said, like AI is so important to these companies now that they're just making decisions that are going to hurt people who like old school gaming. Like I love Mirror's Edge. That's a great game. Like who wouldn't want to revisit that with your brand new card?
Sure.
And then to get like 20 frames per second on this $2,000 GPU when you can get 60 frames per second on a 980, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is nuts.
And it's definitely an edge case example, but like there's so many of these starting to pile up, specifically at NVIDIA with this 50 rollout. And it's just disappointing because I was like considering building a PC this year, and now I'm like definitely not.
Yeah.
Partly because of what you're talking about, Joe. And then I think the other thing that's like the companies aren't coming out and saying it yet, but I think it's kind of obvious. They're increasing prices because of these tariffs. And they're all about to get hit with like a 25% hit or a 20% hit on their margins. And they are going to pass that on to the consumer. So I think we're seeing that too.
Yeah.
But it's premature. That's what's weird about it. It's
premature, and the 20% is like, if only it was 20%.
I know. No, I know. I'm saying they're taking that and then they're going 42% with it. Or like, you know what I mean? Like they're like, okay, well, this is a perfect reason for us to increase our prices. they didn't do it commensurate with the tariffs, though. They like almost doubled it, which is even more insane. And then, the secondary market is completely out of control right now.
It's out of control.
Yeah.
It is. So, all right. So I'm having a debate with a friend of the show, Vin G.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a build it yourself kind of guy, which I totally respect. And frankly, same here. But he's busting my chops because I'm texting him pre-builts. Then I'm like, what do you think about this one? And he's like, oh, you don't want to do that. I'm like, here, bud, check out PC Part Picker. I recreated the pre-built on PC Part Picker. It's $1,000 more there. You can only buy the pre-builts right now. Which is astonishing.
That's crazy. That's never been the case. Pre-builts always traded at a premium to building it yourself. That was the whole point of doing it yourself. And now, because I think it's more of a shortage and a market issue, you can't do that right now. So clearly the market's broken. If pre-builts are selling, like, you can't even recreate a pre-built for less than it costs at retail. That's crazy.
Well, it's worse than that. It's even worse than that. Not only is the price no longer, there's no benefit to doing the DIY approach anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You also literally cannot get the parts.
Yeah.
Even if you had the cash in hand, there are some cards you cannot get unless you go to eBay and you pay whatever the jabroni decided.
Markup.
Yeah. I mean, 250%.
Mm-hmm.
It is maddening that I decided that I felt this kind of way about gaming in the past couple months and weeks, where I was like, I think I'm going to do this thing. What a brick wall this whole situation is. Not that it's all about me, but I was having fun with this. I was excited about it, but this sucks.
It's really made me feel good about buying a Mac.
Oh,
sure.
Like, even though there's no real gaming on Mac, like,
well, yes, but for for what I do most days, John.
Oh, for sure.
It's my computer. My Mac is so much faster than any PC I own, especially at editing video, like, which is what most of what I do for Shack News these days. And I'm just like, I'm blown away by how solid this MacBook Pro is. But I also bought it last year because I was worried about how tariffs were going to affect the prices of Macs too.
Yeah. And then, funny enough, they came out with this MacBook Air, right? That's like went down $200 in price, and it seems like
they lowered the
nicely
price.
Powered.
Yeah, they lowered the price down to back to $9.99, and I believe if you're a student, you can get it for $8.99.
It feels like I was thinking about that. Like, it feels like Apple's just taking the opportunity, understanding that these tariffs were going to happen, and just they're trying to flood the market with these MacBook Airs because they know, like, they are usually college students or kids or younger people, and it just feels like such a brand gateway, not only to iPhone, but like, I think computers just double you down into that ecosystem. So why else would you go like $200 cheaper on something that's actually seemingly one of the best laptops that's come out?
Nice. They're so nice.
Yeah. I've been.
Hey, look at the last 3 weeks from Apple, John. You have iPhone SE or whatever they're calling it now, 16e.
Yeah.
You have iPad Air, and you have this MacBook Air. All of those products are the more affordable entry points.
Yeah, no, I think Apple, I get it. It's not sexy, and this Apple Intelligence delay, there's a lot of controversy and all that stuff, but it feels like a pretty shrewd move there. But anyway,
I think they're reacting to the data that they're seeing, and this is a little off the beaten path of our coverage universe, but Dollar General reported that their customers are pulling back. So the American consumer is not spending like they were a year ago. You can guess why. I'm not here to judge why. I'm saying that we're starting to get data from companies like Walmart that had a revenue miss, and now Dollar General, right?
Yeah.
That the U.S. consumer is probably less confident than they were a year ago.
Sure.
And I'm seeing it in stores too with what they're stocking on shelves. That's already changing.
How do you see it? I mean, it is off the beaten path, but what do you mean? Like lower brands?
Yes. Like a lot more, or those white label brands, right?
Yeah.
So like you're seeing more white label stuff on shelves, you're in Canada, they've removed American alcohol from their shelves.
Yeah, I've seen that. I know Europe is
like
doing that too.
And God help you if you need steel right now in America.
Yeah.
But like it's just tune in next week for the other 8 tariffs that have been announced in the last week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and now they're doing retaliatory tariffs. So it's just it's a game of chicken that no one wins.
And honestly, and and really caught in the middle is Joe trying to just build his PC.
He's just trying to build a PC. Like he it's the perfect example of how Steam Deck is an entry. It's like a gateway drug.
And now
to the PC world.
Yeah. Joe, I'm sorry.
And
man.
he's like, I want to build a PC. He's like, I want to build a PC. I'm gonna invest the money, right? It's thousands of dollars, but it's like if a single GPU component is gonna cost $2,000 or $3,000, you cannot build a PC right now.
No,
you just can't. And then it's like, forget the motherboard, forget like what is the CPU, which CPU are you going with? And yeah, to our point earlier, John, like NVIDIA and AMD are just not as focused on gaming as they were.
No, they just don't care.
And no, why would they?
I know. How did NVIDIA become one of the biggest companies on the planet? And it wasn't gaming at the end of it. Who would have knew?
It was their tech, though. It was the same tech.
It was the same tech. It was just differently marketed. So, very interesting.
Yeah. It's just weird how, like, we watched in the last 10, 15 years, we watched NVIDIA become the largest semiconductor company in the world.
Yeah.
And Priceline.com, when we met, John, we should have put all of our money into Priceline.com.
Well, yeah.
It's a ridiculous amount.
I know.
And that was like during the Captain Kirk commercial era, and like it was so corny as hell, but like they ended up becoming one of the largest booking websites. Yeah. Everything's so obvious in retrospect.
Yeah. So Joe, that's what you were playing, huh?
So you're playing PC Part Picker and then arguing with Finn. Yeah. Seriously though, it's really frustrating, man. And I know you're not alone in this. Like I went into this year thinking I need a new PC. Like my highest end GPU on my computers right now is a 2080 Ti, and it's really struggling. I think on a lot of fronts. Man, I don't know how that happened. How did ESPN notify me with a noise when my volume on my phone's all the way down?
They know.
That I don't know. Yeah, that's strange.
That's what Asif is playing.
Yeah, I'm playing the ESPN app apparently.
Yeah, you know what, Asif, what are you playing?
Thank you for asking. So I am playing this Retro Slam Tennis. I have some updates on my career in Retro Slam Tennis. Last week I said I hadn't won a 500 series tournament. I've won 2 of those, and I've won 2 1000 series tournaments. So I'm actually ranked number 2 in the world right now. About 11 weeks into the this is in the game. This is just this isn't like a multiplayer leaderboard. I mean in the game.
I retract my wow.
Yeah,
well, it's still the highest I've ever been ranked in my career, guys.
I'm just kidding.
We're
impressed.
So my first win in the 1000 series, I just have to shout out my opponent. Their last name is Sisyphus. And I'm just like, it's so funny when you're like struggling to get higher on the lead. You're like, you are Sisyphus pulling that rock up the mountain. So I thought that was really fucking funny. That like when I finally got to the final of a 1000 series tournament, and it's Sisyphus versus Divix. I'm like, oh my god,
that's pretty funny.
I love that game. It's still got its hooks in me. I really like how you level up your character. I'm almost like, I would say I'm like pretty close to maxed out on everything except for power and spin.
Can you die of old age?
I don't know. Last week I did tell you that I lost a skill point because I aged. I don't know if you can die in this game. That's a great question. I guess I'll have to keep playing to find out. But yeah, this has completely supplanted Balatro for me.
Wow.
And it's not that I dislike Balatro. It's I put a lot of hours into it, and I got to that point where it just feels mean. It just is mean to me. I'm like, I'm not having fun playing this game anymore, so I'm gonna step away. And that's happened to me in Vampire Survivors in the past and other games. But yeah, that's I've been playing that. On my Switch, I've been playing Super Mario Maker 2 just to check on who's playing my level. No one else has beat it. John, you're still the world record holder.
I'm doing it.
The Briefcase Ghost House is still out there. And then, this may surprise no one. I've been playing F-099.
Come on.
I know. And I won.
Nice.
Again.
First
I got my 9th
place.
win.
Amazing.
Yes.
Nice.
First place, Mute City 1 mirror track. This is now, I believe it's my 3rd win on this track. And my first win ever came on this track. So I think I'm pretty good at Mute City, the mirror Mute City 1.
So 9 wins. When was the cake?
The cake was in April of last year. So victory in F-Zero Day, I believe, is coming up for Shaq's new staff. Let me, I have to look up what day it was. April 11th is hereby forever at Shaq News a holiday. It's called Victory in F-099 Day.
Nice. V-Day.
That is a Friday.
In F-Zero.
Is it Friday?
Yeah, that's a Friday.
Good to know. So everyone has a long weekend coming up. And it'll be after the Switch 2 Direct.
Wow. What a great week that will be.
Right? I mean, we're going to have so much to talk about. But yeah, so no, it's cool though. Like, I really feel I'm racing very well in the game. I've taken some screenshots of some of the races I'm having. I got a 3rd place finish in Big Blue 2. I had a 2nd place finish on what was that? I don't remember. I think it was Mute City 4. Yeah, I had a 2nd place finish. I had a 3rd place finish on Sand Ocean 1, which is my best on that track for the Satellaview. But yeah, I'm having that same thing I was talking about last week happening, where I'll be in first place and then something horrible happens and I end up crashing out and going much lower. So yeah, here's an example of 5 races on my lucky ranks. First race, 84th place. Second race, 3rd. Third race, 10th. 4th race, 4th place. 5th race, 90th place. It's like I do not rank. I don't rank in the middle anymore. It's either I'm in the top 5, top 10, or I'm in the bottom 10 because I died. I will say that my most recent race win was pretty exciting in that I was trailing going into the last turn and I ended up winning. So it's my first come from behind, like that close, like on the last turn.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was what I was talking about last week. John, like I made a mistake and I boosted out of it.
Sure. And
normally when you go off schedule, that's like doom. But then I spun into the dude and I knocked him into one of those red cars, nice. And it was filthy. It's in general, but yeah, like that shit is why I love this game.
Awesome.
Like that shit right there. It's extremely challenging. It's extremely frustrating. But when you win, it is so goddamn rewarding every time. And it's like, yes, it's never going to reach the same high as your first win, but it still feels better than almost any other racing game win. Like, because you're going up against real people, you know, and like there's like, at the level I'm at, I'm definitely developing like rivals. There's people who play at the same time of day that I do, multiple days a week, and we're all, you know, S tier. I am struggling with this whole S11, S10 thing. I'm back down in like the middle of the S10 rank right now. So it feels like when I'm in the S10 area, I'm on the high end of the competitors. When I go to S11, I'm now in the middle, where it's like they'll match me with like S50s and like S20s.
Yeah.
Whereas when I'm in S10, it's like here's an S8, here's like an A. But yeah, like I don't know. People run into this in all sorts of ranked games. But yeah, I'm definitely going through that. But it's been fun, man. Like I just have fun playing this game.
Nice.
Here's some of my rivals. I played against you, all caps, YOU.
Wow.
Nice.
Yep. I beat you. No, actually, you beat me. Sorry. Let's see who else I had. A Acura, but it was AKURA. Thought that was kind of interesting.
Okay.
A lot of Japanese people. I'm sorry. I'm sure you guys have cool usernames. I just can't read. So I don't know. Ramen in all caps.
Yep.
I thought that was
delicious.
A good one. Ice Queen. I did not beat her. Lunar. Did not beat Lunar. I beat Boat Raced. Boat_raced.
Sorry, past tense?
Yeah, right?
That's pretty good.
I'm like, why is it past tense? But it was. yeah, so those are some of my rivals. I'm trying to see if I had any other ones. It's been a little bit since I Sarge, Falcomania. I was like, is that like a Star Fox fan? Hard to say.
Yep.
Probably.
But yeah, that's basically it. Yeah. Playing it every day. Doing my dailies. You get like 500 experience points for just finishing a race. I did have this race on Big Blue last night where like normally I would have died, but like I was smart and I was like, okay, I'm not going to boost so I can survive. And I placed like 35th. And I'm like, dude, would I rather like, this is a question for you guys. Would you rather finish 35th or tried your best and hit a wall and end at 90th?
What do you
I think the latter.
Like, okay, so I'm in this race, John. I'm actually doing quite well. I was in like 5th place going into the 3rd lap. I made a mistake on a turn. I was very low on energy, so I had to manage my boost and just not really. I wasn't boosting for about a lap and a half.
Okay.
But because I did that, I survived the race. But it's like I wasn't racing as hard as I normally would. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like I managed my situation so I didn't die. Would you rather not die or die, I guess? Die trying your best or not die but you're in 35th?
Oh, no, I think die. Just because
Right?
you want to restart if you're not.
You got to go for it.
Yeah, you go for it because what's the point? Like what are we just racking up points for no reason,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's like I do not care about being in 30th ever. So it's like it was just frustrating because I was in 5th and it was like I just didn't have enough boost. You hit too many walls, you know, the way that energy and boost are tied together in that game. Like if you make a mistake and you try to boost out of that mistake, you're gonna have a problem down the road.
Yeah.
So it's gotten to the point now where I know every track so well in that game that I know when I'm going to lose. Like, I just straight up know. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to win this race. The guy is 3 seconds ahead of me, you know, and like when you have the same car that's like 3 seconds ahead of you in that game, that's an eternity in F-Zero.
Sure.
Especially when you have the same top speed, the same boost, the same acceleration, all those things. It has been funny though, like with my rivals, when I'm in this S10 rank, like we are all in the top 5 together. It's like, the game's actually really good at pairing you with these match-made rivals in the races, and I'm just like astonished. Like it'll be me and 4 other racers, all of my rivals and me, and we're the top 5. So it's like, goddamn, like I'm racing against people who are they're Fire Stingray mains, but they're also really good Fire Stingray mains. Yeah. So it's just the competition is still there. I maintain this is still the best online game Nintendo has ever made, and I hope that they take the 4 legends who made the online infrastructure for this game, and they just are in charge of everything online at Nintendo going forward.
Funny.
Because like, there's a lot of like pie in the sky wishes for what the Switch 2 will bring, but man, can you guys internet good? Like, can we finally internet?
Oh, seems like they're doing it.
Find out soon. Yeah.
I'm just like, but like Splatoon 3 is not it. Like that has been I don't know if you guys have played it lately, but it's a nightmare. It's online play is pretty god awful. Smash Brothers, historically terrible online play.
Yeah, that's always been weak.
Like embarrassingly bad. Mario Maker 2, only reason I didn't give it a 10 was their online play is complete ass. It's like enough.
Yeah.
Please make good online games. Like it's 2025, you have a brand new system. I saw a leak that it's going to have state-of-the-art Wi-Fi in it. Like, can we just make it good? Can we have good online play? And
here.
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful because of how good F-Zero 99 is. But
good.
I am also worried. But yeah, that's
we need
basically all I've been playing. I want to play other games. I haven't really had a lot of time, and I downloaded Wanderstop after I read Josh's review. Or actually, we got some extra keys here at Shack News because we ended up on the high end of that. So I haven't really had a chance to play it. I have downloaded it. I'll probably check it out here in a little bit. But yeah, that's
cool.
all. That's all I've been playing.
Well, actually, you did forget one game.
Oh, we have a game coming up, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Nice.
So,
sweet.
Buckle up.
Nice segue.
We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right. It turns out we don't have a game. We couldn't make it happen. We had some tricky scheduling issues today. So we're going to go right to story time, and we're going to play the game I prepared next week. So tune in a week from today. Okay, on to story time. Here we go.
Welcome to story time. Let's dive into the latest stories from the past week. It's time for Previewza, which is a preview palooza from your friends at Shacknewza. Ozzy got to try out something we were just talking about in the other segment, Joe. Rainbow Six Siege X.
Mm-hmm.
They have a new dual front mode that it's like a territory control game, or game mode. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it might have to be the new Joe's Friend Group game.
Oh, because like X Defiant is gonna go away soon.
Yeah, and there was another game that also Vin was asking if we want to play. What's the name? And apparently it just went offline.
Oh, Spectre Divide?
Spectre Divide. Can't catch a break.
Is Vin like the Green Reaper of playing FPS games?
Yeah, I think he is, yeah.
If Vin likes your game, head for the exits. Get your resume ready. Yeah, Spectre Divide, I believe, shut down or announced their shutdown today.
Yeah, we have that news coming shortly.
Yeah. But yeah, that's good to hear. I mean, this is the franchise that Ubisoft will continue to support. Siege has been wildly successful for them as an esport, and now this Siege X is like the next era of this game or this franchise. It looks good.
Yeah.
There's a meta game where you can switch operators to fit certain scenarios, and like kind of lineup compositions I think going to be a little more interesting. But being able to switch is cool. I like this game because like you really can fall into like what kind of player are you? Are you a sneaky person? Are you a run and gunner? You know, like team composition and also just the different character options are cool. But yeah, we did get like a teaser of, I think we got a gameplay trailer that dropped today. We're recording this on Thursday the 13th. But so if you're out there on the internet, go over to the YouTube for Ubisoft and you'll be able to check out some gameplay. But yeah, it's exciting. And they have a beta that's actually live right now, and it ends on March 19th. So is this a beta that you guys might try out this weekend, Joe?
No. We have a dedicated Tuesday night, so it might not work out.
Tuesday night. This ends on Wednesday.
Oh, okay. Maybe yes then.
Okay. Wow, look at you guys. Johnny, remember when you could actually be like, Tuesday, we're going to play video games?
I do remember those very fondly.
I mean, you say that like I have special young powers. It took moving heaven and earth to make this happen. Are you kidding me?
I'm just saying that we don't, like, John and my friend group, we do not get together to play games anymore because like half of them are like, they got 50 kids. Some of them live across the world.
I think it's the world,
with the exception of Vin. Okay,
thing.
It's the time
I'm going to push back.
Well, here we go.
Okay.
It is New Jersey, 2 kids. My buddy Grant, 2 kids. Vin, no kids. So I don't have a rebuttal there.
But all of you are in the same time zone.
Hang on. Scott from Maui.
Oh God.
Famous Scott from Maui. 6-hour difference, I believe. And terrible what he calls coconut Wi-Fi. It is a plague on the connection speeds. So we do our best, and it's a concerted effort, and we commit to it, and it's been good.
Tell me you're still doing that in 10 years.
It's been going for 4 now, so we'll see.
Shit, we lost Sean. He's back.
He rage quitted after my comment.
He was like, "That's ridiculous." I don't know. There was a time, I think it was Uncharted 2, John, where we had like this was before Discord. So we would literally do a conference call for our voice chat on my iPhone.
I do remember that. And Uncharted 2 is friggin' awesome, by the way. Was that fun?
We played so much Uncharted 2 multiplayer, like a ton.
It was a ridiculous
all the Halos
game. Like in terms of just how fun and simple it was. So, I think, Joe, this is a cry for help from both of us to include us in your group.
I would love. I mean,
there you go.
You're invited. Sure, that's fine.
Thank you.
But also,
I tried to play X Defiant. I really did, but they wouldn't let me download it.
I know. Yeah. I know how it goes.
I went did the whole effort, and then I don't know if it's on the rundown. I don't know if it made the news list here. It did not. I was going to mention it here. Did you see the Rocket League update?
Yeah.
they actually added a crossbar ping sound effect.
It's great.
I'm like, season 18, baby. We finally got it. So
Rocket League's another one that's like a typical, it's in the cycle for us. And we were all just saying, like, I can't believe Rocket League is in a near identical state to launch. And I love Rocket League, but like, you know, Fortnite got the UE5 update and it's, you know, like they get the marketplace and I know that Fortnite is severely more popular than Rocket League, of course, sure. But Rocket League is unequivocally a success. And it just kind of feels like it's kind of stale. Yes. I don't know what's going on over there.
They focused too much on goal explosion design and not enough on new game modes and new levels.
Update the engine, buddy.
Oh, obviously that it's running on UE3, Joe.
Yeah.
But like, there was back in the Apple lawsuit with Epic, I thought there was a leak that there was a Rocket League UE5 being developed, and then it just kind of never happened.
Yeah.
Or it hasn't happened yet.
I agree. It hasn't happened yet.
Well, let's see next week. Next week is Game Developers Conference. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, and that tends to be a big week for UE stuff in general,
I would say.
And this is also the 10th anniversary, I think, of Rocket League.
That's cool.
Yeah, so, in May, I think. May or June.
That sounds right. It was whenever that PS Plus, it was a freebie on PS Plus.
What a magical time. Yeah, David had a thread on Chatty. He was like, what's like a game that you have like the most hours in that's your favorite game? And I was like, what do I have the most hours in on PC? And it was Rocket League. And the same is true on my PS4. And I was like, but that's not my favorite game. And then like singing Halo 2, right, John? Like that, we played that.
Yeah, that was classic. Hard. That was just like...
And Gears, I think Gears 3 or 2, we played a lot of. But yeah, like... I kept thinking, I'm like, none of those are my favorite games. And then like, I probably have close to 1,000 hours across platforms on Tetris Effect, which like, yeah, I don't know if that's my favorite game. My favorite game is F-Zero 99. And I have like, I'm approaching 230 hours in that game, which for a game where each race is less than 3 minutes, that's a lot of time in a game.
But for a game that is, for how much you play and how good you are and like how elite your time with it has become, 230 isn't bad.
Yeah. It's still less than I have in Mario Maker 2 and in Tears of the Kingdom. Wow. And I maintain, I think Tears of the Kingdom is the best video game, but it's not my favorite video game. My favorite video game is F-Zero 99. But I thought it was an interesting question though. Like, it is the game that you have the most hours in your favorite game? And I was like, no, it's not. Yeah, I think that's true for a lot of people. Like, Rocket League's not my favorite game. It's a great game, but to your point, it's become kind of stale.
Avoidably stale, I think.
So, you know what? They need to make Rocket League X.
Right.
Just like Ubisoft. I don't know. This season 18 was the first time in a while, Joe, where I was like, huh, that's kind of interesting. Like, they added mutators to the game. Kind of like...
Shoot me a text. Yep. Shoot me a text. I'm always down.
No. I have not played that game since F-Zero 99 came out.
Wow.
Not once. And I was playing that daily. So I think I'm retired from Rocket League is what I'm getting at.
Oh, man.
I know. Maybe. We'll see. You know what'll bring me back? Horns. Let me honk a horn. At least in one game mode. Can you imagine
now
how annoying
featuring horns. Yeah, wow.
Like being able to honk a horn. It's been something people have asked for years in that game. Sorry, I've completely derailed our previews. Lucas previewed Mandragora Whispers of the Witch Tree. He said it's a side-scrolling Souls-like with parkour and menus. It certainly has a skill tree.
Wow, that's quite a skill tree, yeah.
It's like one of those where you're like, huh. But
it's
yeah,
like
I mean...
Path of Exile skill tree.
Yes. You know, it's kind of like when you think of those components, the game that I think of is Dead Souls, but like obviously that's not Souls-like, that's more roguelike.
Dead Cells, you mean?
Yeah, Dead Cells, not Dead Souls. Dark Souls, Dead Cells, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it looks cool. Like gameplay-wise, it looks neat. Graphically, it looks impressive. I think if you're into this kind of game, it's coming out in April. We'll probably be reviewing it, but yeah, pretty solid preview by Lucas there, who is a prolific opinion haver of video games. On to Reviewza. Hey guys, we gave it 10.
Oh,
Wow.
I gave a 10 to a game. It's Wanderstop.
Wanderstop.
I know. This is Ivy Road, which I want to say is comprised of people from other studios.
But
Stanley Parable, and Gone Home devs came together to make this. It's on the surface, it's a game about making tea and kind of being a barista. But it becomes like a pretty interesting story. It's visually really impressive. The graphics and the environment they've created, and just the art style and the choices. A lot of the game revolves around finding stuff to make tea out of. So the gameplay may not be the most deep, but from what Josh said, the story is just so charming and endearing and interesting that I think it's whatever, like that the lack of complexity in gameplay is kind of trumped by the presentation in a lot of ways.
Oh, interesting.
The pros: meaningful activities that elevate the main message, a carefully planned and executed central idea, really solid side characters and interactions, fun, approachable management tasks. The only con, he said, is that sometimes the dialogue's like too on the nose. But yeah, like they got a 10.
Yeah. So I was looking into this game. So Davey Wreden is the guy behind Stanley Parable, right? And I think he's like the principal designer of this, I believe. And the reason I had like half an interest in this, which I think I otherwise maybe would have overlooked, is, and this is coming from someone who didn't really care for the Stanley Parable, I was like, what is Wanderstop about? Like, it just seems like so out of left field for someone who made Stanley Parable and what's the game called? Beginner's Guide, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And those are games that are trying to make a point, right? They have sort of like a thesis, those games. And on its nose, or on its face rather, Wanderstop is trying to make the point that burnout will kill you and it's okay to slow down and stop. Mm-hmm. And I think that seems like the main character's, challenge throughout the plot of this game is to, how does she reckon with, I'm the hero of this land, and you know what, I can't do it anymore, so I'm gonna make tea. And I had my eye on it. It's like, what's gonna happen midway through the game, and just like turn this game on its face. And it's actually not about making tea. And what is that thing? And everything, all the previews I've seen and now reviews that I've seen, it's like, nope, it's just a fantastic tea game. Which is actually now I'm looking at it like, actually, that's fascinating. This tea game is a 10.
Right.
So that's funny. It's this is a curious one, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I also love tea though, so
tea's great.
I'm not mad at it. I'd like some more tea-like games, honestly.
Tea likes a new genre.
Tea likes or barista likes. I don't know. It's like this game would have like almost been cozy if the story wasn't so kind of dire or kind of sad. Josh wrapped it up by saying Wanderstop is like Spiritfarer for burnout sufferers and overachievers. The central focus is meaningful and expertly executed in its own right. However, its attention to detail in every other area that makes Wanderstop feel special, to the point where anything, even just planting flowers, enriches everything else. Ivy Road just gets it. That's interesting. Yeah. So it's almost like just the chillness of the game and the mechanics. It has like an Animal Crossing like effect. But I also think like a message of just telling people that they can slow down in the era that we're in is a good one. But yeah,
for sure. Can you imagine if you were burnt out? And I'm sure we all are. Can you imagine like feeling like the most forefront feeling that you have about yourself is that you're burnt out, and so you make a video game, which is probably the hardest thing on planet Earth you could do. Good for them.
I think the concept of burnout is not rare in the games industry.
For sure.
Like, it seems pretty common in a bad way.
Unfortunately,
that is an interesting paradox you bring up. Because you're right, making a game is not easy, but this game it seems like it might have been cathartic in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just do want to point out, like, I think it's really a very cool art style. Like, it just looks cool. And so much of games are creating a place that you want to go to, right? Like, hey, this feels like an actual place I'm going to. I think Wanderstop kind of nails that in its world. But yeah, I don't know. If you don't like tea, you're probably not going to like this game.
Wow.
Anyway, I love tea. Green tea. And then, we reviewed. We're trying to have Josh here to talk about the game. We may be able to get him down the road. He had a power outage. And then Lucas reviewed The Hungry Lamb traveling in the late Ming Dynasty.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what this is. We review a lot of games, you guys.
It's a visual novel.
That's it. Sorry. That's probably why. It's like we are reviewing a lot more visual novels now. Because the lines are blurred. Like some visual novels like are on the edge of being like RPG like, and then some are just straight up like comic books that are interactive. But yeah, that's another good one. I think when it comes to these games, you really do have to critique the art style and the writing more than anything. And just from a glance, this game looks cool, or this visual novel looks cool. It's
easy to pick out. I'm a visual novel fan, and it's easy to tell when stock character art is being used.
Yeah.
And that's I'm not saying that here.
No, the art is impressive. So yeah, some of the pros, he said, challenging story about a difficult time in human history, compelling characters. He said the use of violence and other dark themes is done in a responsible manner. He said the cons requires several content warnings. Whoa. So that means like some shit happens in this game where you're like, made you uncomfortable. And he said the pros can be dry at times, but I think on the surface it looks pretty good. Sorry, yeah, I got it 8 out of 10. Yeah, those are our only 2 reviews. Sam is down there in general. Should we get him?
Oh shoot! Yeah, let's bring him up. I got him.
There you go. Hey Sam.
Hey Sam.
Pretty good.
Hey.
Time for Storytime Newsa, guys, which is a news palooza coined by Shaq Newsa. Mm-hmm. Did you guys see the extended trailer for Death Stranding 2 on the beach?
Oh yeah.
John, did you get a chance to watch this?
I didn't yet. Like,
oh man,
I know it's been great. The last couple of days, and what the heck happened? It's cool, right? Like, yeah, it looks.
I think
gorgeous.
Kojima might be the best at making game trailers, just in general. Like, he's great at it. I don't know if this game will be good, but that trailer was awesome.
That's cool.
But I also think the game might be good because you get to control giant kaiju monsters with a VR headset in the game.
That's cool.
There's like, like it seems like the scope of the world of Death Stranding is about to grow. You know how like in Doom, the Dark Ages, there's that big monster that you can control? It's similar what we're seeing in Death Stranding too. There's also a new character his name is Neil. He is straight up Solid Snake.
How does he spell that name? Is it Kneel? Is he always kneeling? Is he Neil Man?
No, Neil.
Oh, okay.
It's not Neil Man. His name is Neil. He is John. It's a young Solid Snake.
That's so funny.
He is straight. Like Kojima's like, screw it. This is just Metal Gear. Like that's where we're at now. Like, he's like, there's your big boss. There's the president. America. Right. Like all these themes that he's been talking about for years. Still doing. They announced a concert series for the music from Death Stranding. They're going to come to Newark, you guys.
Hey man, Newark has has a nice venue, has a beautiful venue actually.
I thought it was interesting because like it's like Los Angeles, Vienna, like, and it's like Newark,
New Jersey.
I was like, damn,
Newark's great.
Yeah.
What
I
is
was like,
it, an NJ Pack?
I was like, what happened to? Does NYC not have a good place for a concert?
It's just miserable to.
Where are they going? New York.
It's so tough to get there.
It's just traffic.
Yeah,
parking.
I mean, like, as someone who goes to events in Newark and New York City, man, do I sometimes consider can't go into StubHub for the New York ones. It's just brutal.
Wait, it's brutal in Newark?
No, in New York.
Oh, okay, okay.
Are we saying 2 different names? Is it Newark and New York?
Yes, these are 2 different cities that are separated by 30 minutes driving.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
15.
I couldn't detect the slight inflection change.
The city of New Jersey is spelled Newark. the city in New York is spelled New space York. But
So New York and Newark.
Yeah,
All right, that's
correct.
way too close.
Correct. Especially, no offense to the East Coast accents, sometimes they sound similar.
Sorry.
No. But I just thought it was neat. I was like, oh, Kojima's coming to your state, guys. I don't know if he'll be there, but the music will be there. So that I think it's called the Strands of Harmony World Tour.
That's cool.
So that's actually pretty neat. He showed off the collector's edition this was at South by Southwest. It has a giant ass statue of that monster I was talking about that you control. It looks cool as hell. I think they're calling him the Magellan Man. I don't know, whatever the hell that means.
Okay.
There was space travel featured in this trailer. I was like, are they going to space? I don't know. It looks cool. I don't know what else to say, really. They showed off a bunch more of the cast members. There's some floating torso of a robot. There's there's obviously Doll Man. We got more Doll Man.
Do you think it'll be because the trailer just makes it look like you said, there's just so much more of a rich, there's not a whole lot of walking on display, but do you think the game will be significantly different? Because I kind of don't.
I don't think the gameplay loop will change much at all.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's going to be about delivering packages still. But I thought it was interesting. I like delivering packages, Sam. Anyway, what I thought was interesting is that we should have never reconnected. We shouldn't have connected or reconnected.
Right.
I think it was like the tagline in the trailer. And I think that's funny because originally the first game was all about reconnecting America, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's this was a mistake.
The great unstranding of America.
And in the scene with Neil, I might have to cut that out and post it on social just because I think it's a really interesting scene. He talks about how he's paid to smuggle unconscious or vegetative pregnant Mexican women into America, and that's how those bridge babies are supplied.
Right.
So we're gonna get into that really dark side of it. They also, I think they spoil the ending of the first game a little bit in the trailer, but at this point, if you can even detect that it's a spoiler, having not played the first game, kudos to you.
There's a certain character's skin that's miraculously okay. I noticed.
Yes. And that person, that person's cool. That's one of my favorite characters from the first game.
Mm-hmm.
It looks, I don't know. It just looks cool. There's a ton of, I think George Miller's body and face is being used for a character, but his voice isn't. It's kind of like what they did with Guillermo del Toro in the last game.
I wonder how much of the first story am I going to have to understand to be able to... None.
Or there'll be a recap.
Isn't it narratively connected?
Yeah, it's narratively connected, but no one gives a fuck, man.
Then what are they giving a fuck about? The gameplay?
I don't know.
Okay.
I honestly couldn't tell you.
Not to disparage, but I'm just interested. Who didn't...
I'll be honest with you. The part of Death Stranding I like is the gameplay.
Yeah. That's cool. I'm glad that vibe.
Except when vehicles show up. Man, I hated the vehicles. But it's...
Yeah.
Yes, it looks like they have better vehicles, Joe. That's the one thing I was looking at. I was like, okay, these are new vehicles. That's cool. They seem to have I know there was a similar zip line in the first game, but it looks like they kind of changed it a little bit. If they make one improvement, I hope it's to traversal. The question I have, Joe, is do you think you're going to have to hold the right and left analogs to walk?
Well, that was such a small part of the first game. That was early hours, and then how much were you really doing that?
I did
after
a lot.
The first 10 hours. I don't know. It all became about
riding
having your little robot helper next to you and getting a motorcycle and, getting a truck.
I thought there was something visceral about that, though, that you were clenching onto the controller when you played it.
It was, yeah, it was.
I thought
it was just short-lived, really I thought.
Yeah. But yeah, it's full of random things that I'm sure other people will pick up on. But yeah, they showed off the cast. He had there's a new song in the game that they announced. It's played in the trailer, but they also announced it at South by Southwest. They had the artist come on stage and talk about it. I don't know. I kind of want to just make a movie instead. But like Death Stranding felt so disjointed, Joe, because like there's the game and then there's the cutscenes, and then there's the game and then there's the cutscenes, and they don't really feel like they have much to do with each other at times.
Totally.
So to answer your question, Sam, I don't know. I don't know why people like this game. I don't dislike it. Like I just it has some subject matter in the game makes me feel uncomfortable. Things that you have to do in that game made me feel uncomfortable, and I think any game that can do that, there's something good about that. There's something that requires talent to make people feel something like that.
Yeah.
And occasionally, Kojima just comes up with this like sandbox full of gameplay mechanics, and sometimes magical things can happen, like emergent gameplay events. And I'm kind of referring to MGS5 when I say that more than Death Stranding, but my hope is that this game feels more like MGS5 than it does Death Stranding.
Right.
And I feel like the introduction of literally Solid Snake in the game maybe gives me some hope of that. But who knows?
No, and I'm sure that character will be playable and it'll be a Raiden 2 situation.
And June 26th. So this game's coming out soon.
Do you think there's any other examples of like not what Kojima does, like no one makes anything like him. I don't know that anybody would challenge that, but where it is like, yes, it is a sandbox game, which is like very systems driven, right? Like it's he's not making visual novels here. He's making very systems heavy video games that require active play.
Mm-hmm.
And then he always seems to pair his games with basically a mood board of a story. Like they frankly hardly make sense, which I do say affectionately, but they barely make sense, but they always convey sort of a mood. And then towards the end of them, you come away with it thinking like, I get it, sort of. He made me feel something, that is, occasionally profound.
Look at the David Lynch of the video game world. That's what I reckon.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
That's a good thing. Have you seen Video Game Donkey explain the Metal Gear Solid series? He did a video.
I have not.
It's worth checking out. He actually does a great job. But yeah, it's convoluted and ridiculous. And at times he's retconned his own story. So like it's possible that he does some of that in Death Stranding too. I think it's a vibe thing though. Like if you think about early Death Stranding promotion, it was all like, oh my God, did you see that trailer? Right? Like out of context, you look at like 30 seconds of one of his scenes, forget the story. It's visually appealing content. You're just like, wow, that's really interesting. You know? So he's really good at that. Like getting your attention with
surrealism.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's the surrealism of his imagery. Just the outlandish landscapes and the weird things that you see within it.
Like a baby living inside of a person's mouth, Yeah. All that weird stuff, the imagery that he uses. But like, there's something like real about Death Stranding focusing on stillborn babies or like comatose women. Like there's like, if you look at that theme, right? The vibe that you were talking about, Joe, like he's very good at setting that.
Yeah.
Piecing together the story, not as much.
Right.
Which is why like I just want to play the game. And like I felt like when the story, and this is mild spoiler or whatever, but like when the story gets in the way of the delivery gameplay and you do a delivery and you're like, man, that bummed me out. Like that's where I'm like, man, I don't want to play this game anymore. That's why I haven't beaten it. But I do kind of want to beat it before the game this new one comes out.
Yeah. Feel the same way.
You think you'll do it?
Well, I should.
I don't know, man. I got Retro Tennis Slam seasons to play.
Well, maybe your character will die.
God, yeah, right. That's the great question now. Where I'm gonna have to keep playing Retro Slam Tennis until my character dies of old age. But I'm out there in Brisbane, Sam, every season, winning every season.
Yeah,
not even a contest. Anyway, we're excited about Death Stranding 2 on the beach. We're cautiously optimistic, and I mean, the first game sold extremely well. And it's been ported everywhere. I mean, he invented a whole new genre of games, Strand typed, right? So,
what a pioneer!
I think at the very least, it's in the running for Strand Game of the Year at Shack News this year.
Oh, yeah, that's a safe bet.
Almost by default. So, I don't know how many years it was between Space Marine 1 and 2, but Space Marine 3 is already in development, you guys.
Wow.
Focus Entertainment announced it. So
I'm glad that Games Workshop is allowing them to continue to make more.
Mm-hmm.
Realizing that people, hey, this is a cool IP that we can continue to just make because people love it.
Yep. And yeah, we got Katamari Damacy Rolling Live announced for Apple Arcade. This seems like your wheelhouse, John.
I'm always into Katamari.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
I like the Katamari games.
What was that?
Do you have an Apple Arcade subscription?
I do, yeah. And I don't use it as much, but that's the type of game I would actually check out.
Yeah. Sorry, were you going to say something, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, I love the Katamari games as well. I'd love to see it come
it seems perfect for mobile.
Yeah?
I think. It's not like the most complex, joystick controls or anything, or buttons.
Yeah, sure.
No, yeah, that's true. That's a good point. They kind of have tank controls, right?
Mm-hmm. I can see it adapt to swiping very well,
Yeah.
Some games, I'm never like, oh, I want to play COD on mobile, but yeah, Katamari, I'll try that. I just wish they'd let me buy these games. Like, I don't want to subscribe. Just let me buy them.
Yeah.
I know
that's why I kind of want it on a console. Like, I would love to have that on, like, Xbox Live Arcade or whatever the equivalent is these days. Or
Switch Online.
Yeah.
But yeah, what we've seen with these Apple Arcade rollouts is if they're good enough, they do end up on Switch a year later. Hello Kitty Island Adventure is an example of that.
Yeah.
Which is having a springtime event right now. Didn't make Joe's news list, but it made mine.
Sorry.
I've just found that people really are interested in Hello Kitty Island Adventure, you guys. It's actually quite a good game. The concept's smart. What if we made Animal Crossing in the Hello Kitty universe?
That is smart.
The answer is it's a great idea. And then some bad news, but I don't think this is that surprising. Spectre Divide is going offline and Mountaintop Studios is shutting down.
R.I.P.
It's just we got a letter. Dear Spectre fans, it's been 2 weeks since we launched Spectre Divide Season 1 Flashpoint. We're incredibly grateful for the positivity and support that you've shown over that short time. Unfortunately, Season 1 launch hasn't achieved the level of success we needed to sustain the game and keep Mountaintop afloat. We were optimistic about the first week. We had 400,000 players play, a peak concurrent player count of 10,000 across all platforms. But as time has gone on, we haven't seen enough active players and incoming revenue to cover the day-to-day costs of Spectre and the studio. Since PC launch, we stretched our remaining capital as far as we could, but at this point, we're out of funding to support the game. This means Mountaintop will be closing its doors at the end of this week.
Wow.
We expect to take Spectre offline in the next 30 days, but we plan on disabling new purchases and refunding money spent since Season 1 launch via the platforms. We'll be following up with more information on this soon. We pursued every avenue to keep going, including finding a publisher, additional investment, and/or acquisition. In the end, we weren't able to make it work. The industry is in a tough spot right now. Yes, it is. This is a painful update to share. We love Spectre, and we're incredibly proud of what we built with this community. And then he just goes on to thank everybody. That's not, the industry is in a tough spot right now. And the first person shooter market is probably the most competitive it's ever been.
Yeah.
Right now. And like Fortnite exists. It's we're talking about Rainbow Six Siege, right? Like there's these established live service games out there. And I think this was this the game that launched, like Shroud is part of?
Yeah, he was on came on as a consultant. And because I reviewed this, and for me, the writing was on the wall from playing it. You can't, do whatever you want. I feel bad for the devs. Releasing a Counter-Strike-like game that is incredibly difficult to play. Like, it's a challenging genre when you've already got Valorant out there with a deeply entrenched player base, and Counter-Strike, you got to set yourself apart a little bit more, you know?
Agreed. Yeah.
And unfortunately, the dual body system wasn't quite enough to really differentiate it from its competitors.
It also just didn't look that different. Like, when you open it up, you're like, ooh, this looks like it could be TF2, or like it didn't have some, like, when you look at an Overwatch video, it's Overwatch, right?
Yeah.
Or when you look at a Halo video, instantly that you're looking at Halo. Go watch some Spectre Divide gameplay without actually clicking on the video and like looking at the title. I don't know if you would be able to tell, oh, that's Spectre Divide. Like, it's just another shooter. And like,
So
I think it's really, really hard to differentiate yourself in that space specifically, especially when you're making these multiplayer live service games, and you have to, everyone makes the live service game and they build their whole monetization into it, but sometimes you don't need. None of your players are going to care about cosmetics in your game if it's not fun,
especially when they're horrendously overpriced and don't look any good.
That too, which like that
because I laid out in the review.
Though.
Yeah, I laid out in the review that there was a weapon skin bundle for one amount of in-game currency, down from another amount, and you had to buy one or two bundles. And essentially, what it meant is you had to spend $100 to get this weapon pack bundle that didn't look any good. $100. Wow. $100.
And they're just cosmetic.
They're just cosmetic, but then you could further level up the cosmetics to change them slightly, or you could spend money to auto level them up again. And it's just like everywhere you turned, the hand was out, being like, pay us. You want to shortcut this? You can pay us.
Yeah.
It was one of the worst microtransaction setups I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. And I think we're in this time where like there's not a whole lot of single player first person games out there, or like. Gone is the era of, hey, I bought this first person shooter that has a campaign and multiplayer. I know COD kind of is towing that line, but like you saw it die with the Quake Champions game and Quake Live. Doom has given up on multiplayer. So Doom's basically the other way, where it's just a single player experience. I think there's just too many of these games, and you're competing with a game like COD every year. Right? There's a new COD coming, and you have to deal with Warzone, and you have to deal with Fortnite, and you have to deal with Valorant. I don't know how a small studio can break into the FPS world in a multiplayer live service fashion. I think Splitgate is going to be another one of those to watch, because it's like it's different in its gameplay is unique, right?
Yeah.
But we'll see how long that uniqueness lasts, like how long before people kind of just yawn again, because that happened with the first Splitgate. But that, like, seeing Spectre Divide kind of launch and fall off, I'm like, what does this mean for Spectre Divide 2? Like, we saw it with X Defiant. Like, there's a lot of these games that come and go in that space. So yeah, I think FPS might be the hardest segment of this. Like, FPS live service might be the hardest segment of the video game industry to enter.
Yeah, especially because if you don't get the gunplay right, the fan base isn't going to want to stick around. Like, especially if you can't differentiate yourself enough, like we've been saying. Fragpunk just fully released, and it's seen at the moment more concurrent players on Steam than what was it? Spectre Divide's peak player count. Like, Fragpunk is sitting at, there's currently 68,000 people playing on Steam. And it is the exact same sort of character-driven Valorant-type Counter-Strike experience.
Nice. But yeah, that'll do it for our Newsa segment. On to Industruza, which is our industry news palooza brought to you by Shaq Newsa. Niantic sold their portfolio of games.
That's huge.
For $3.5 billion to Scopely, which is a subsidiary of Saudi's Savvy Games Company. I think it's funded by Saudi Arabia either way. Scopely is like their mobile gaming business.
Yeah, Scopely's been around for quite a long time. Very successful.
And look, they got Niantic Campfire, they got Niantic Wayfarer, Pokemon Go, Pikmin Bloom, Monster Hunter Now, and the entire Niantic Games development team were acquired in this.
Oh, so all the devs keep their jobs?
Sure, they
for now.
Do. For now. And
so the Niantic brand gets just absorbed and turned into a different thing, or
no? Niantic stays its own company. Niantic will remain they're spinning off into a geospatial AI business named Niantic Spatial Incorporated. So basically, the last however many years they've been doing this stuff was really just to accumulate data to train some sort of AI model based on geolocation.
Yay.
Yep. So I don't know how to feel about that. I enjoyed my time with Pokemon Go. It was always a game that I really liked to use when I was traveling a lot for work. I actually like Pikmin Bloom, so I'm upset to see this. It's just so funny, man. Nintendo sucks so much at making their own mobile apps. Like, they're so bad at it. I think it's intentional. But then, like, look at Pokemon Go. Look at Pikmin Bloom. Like, these games are being acquired for billions of dollars. And meanwhile, like, Nintendo's like, I don't know, here's Mario Run for $5. Or here's, I don't know, the Mario Kart Tour game. You know, like, I don't know.
Are they still available? Can you even play them?
You can play Mario Run.
Can you?
I think you can play Mario Kart Tour. I would never, but you can. I just think Nintendo has this attitude about mobile gaming, and they shouldn't, because look how much money there is in this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe this will change their tune. I don't think Scopely shares of Nintendo. It's Savvy. They have a stake in Nintendo that they lowered a few quarters ago. But yeah, I'm going to start out here. This is probably not the last time you're going to hear about a Saudi Arabian company acquiring a game company here this year. Ubisoft is the one I'm looking at.
It has to be top of the list.
Yeah, I think they're just... I stare at that stock every day, and I'm just like, nope, not yet. Nope, not yet. Nope, not yet. Anyway, yeah, as a player of Go, I'm kind of worried what this means, but it wasn't like Niantic was doing a good job with it. Like, the last few years have been pretty rough with Pokemon Go, so we'll see what happens. On to some Nintendo news. Nintendo's San Francisco store is opening on May 15th with a grand opening celebration. You know what would be sweet? How about you launch Switch 2 that day?
Ooh.
What do you think?
I didn't put that together like an idiot.
Right? I don't know if we're... Right? Yeah. There's a rumor.
I mean, there's this rumor that what I've heard, John, is that there is a this falls right into the window of when it's rumored to release. But also there's that room, like, you remember how they shipped how they launched Alarmo, where you could only order it through the Nintendo website using your Nintendo Switch Online account,
sure,
or in person at Nintendo physical stores. So this would be a perfect time to just be like, hey, come to Nintendo San Francisco to get your Switch 2, line up. So, you know, you get those, you remember those old Apple Store line pictures? You get one of those for Switch 2. You get one in New York, you get one in Tokyo, I think Osaka and Kyoto have stores. I hope we get more Nintendo stores, guys. I love those places. But yeah, like, I think Nintendo is taking scalping very seriously, and the Nintendo Switch Online hook is going to be how they prevent scalping. So what I'm getting at is, if you own GameStop stock and you think it's going to be a great play for Nintendo Switch 2, I would hold your horses, because Nintendo might take all the revenue. Because, you know, they already have beef with Amazon, right? Like, they don't sell Nintendo products on Amazon anymore. So this further step into retail by Nintendo, I don't think this is a coincidence. That's all I'm saying. But man, if we're getting Switch 2 on May 15th, I will be super stoked. And the last bit of Industruza news, John, you kind of mentioned it earlier in the show. Apple's delaying AI improved Siri features as far into 2026. And this was the only thing I wanted from their stupid Apple Intelligence. Just make Siri better.
Sure.
Nope. Can't do it.
Have you been...
And I know, Joe, I say this all the fucking time. This shitty Siri voice assistant, this shit would have been thrown out of the fucking iOS years ago under Steve Jobs. This is dog shit. This is a bad product. It's a bad service.
It's bad.
Materially worse than smaller companies offer. Google Assistant is far better. Alexa's far better. They were first. Apple was first into this space, and they're dead last when it comes to what it can do. And it's just pathetic. At this point, it's just pathetic. What does Apple Intelligence do that's better than anything else? Like, I don't think it's better than Midjourney at generating images.
No, the only integration, the ChatGPT integration, I think is pretty good.
But I could send you a hyperlink to ChatGPT too, John. Like, it's like that's all. That's it. They integrated with a better. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not even a feature.
It's not an Apple thing.
That's not even what they claimed. That big wrap up image that they use at the event. It doesn't say ChatGPT anywhere in there. It's clean up your photos, summaries and messages, summarize your news. The news summaries are incorrect. the messages are bad. Audio recording summaries, that's a good thing. The image playground is kind of useless when you compare it to Midjourney.
Yeah, sure.
Genmoji is kind of worthless in general. Like, the writing tools aren't very good. ChatGPT is better. There's like better. Normally Apple will release a service or a product where at least there's one thing that they're good at, and it just feels like they've lost that. And this, I don't know if this would have even been announced under a different management team. But I hate Apple Intelligence. It's terrible. It's embarrassing. And it's like, they just fart into a box and ship it, and everyone's like, oh, let's make the stock go up another 100 billion. It's like, no, they just because they said the word AI at an event, you're going to add another few 100 billion to their valuation. Like, no, they eventually, and this is something that's true of all AI companies. And Sam Altman said it this week. We still have to figure out how to productize these services. Like, they haven't figured that out yet, John. Like, they're like, this general purpose tech, like, it's not. I said it a few weeks ago, like, we want more specific tools. We want useful tools that we can actually assign an economic benefit to, and then you can price these things. And it's just, right now, it's like, okay, well, this model, Will Smith spaghetti looks better. It's like, okay, but like, can you write me a resume quickly? Can you source information? Like, and all I'm getting is Apple does not have any models that impress me at all. I think GPT has been impressive at times. Obviously, whatever happened with China a few weeks ago, that thing was interesting. Those search engine AI companies that are going on, like, there's all sorts of cool stuff happening in AI. It's just not happening at Apple.
Sure.
And just a real quick thought. We didn't mention it. I don't think Shaq News wrote about it this week, but Tesla's circling the drain as a stock right now. I think there's a price point at which Apple should buy Tesla.
I don't think that's ever going to happen.
I say this, John, not because of the brand.
Well,
I say this because
the tech. I mean, and the entree, because they have no Apple Car coming.
No tech. I say this sheerly from this world that we're in, right? Where there are tariffs happening. You have to build things in America. Tesla has the largest lithium ion cell producing factory in America, the largest car manufacturing plant in America. So that capacity could be useful to a company that is not being associated with the Nazi party.
Yeah, but do you think Tim Cook wants to be associated with the Nazi party? What I mean by that is, like, in whatever acquisition talks, I think Tesla is. You're right. There is a certain point where, a company is just way too attractive and it just makes sense. I think optically, I don't know how Apple would be able to do that. I think it's
they buy the factories. They hire the employees, right? But they leave the brand in the toilet and they say these are Apple cars now.
Yeah,
and they completely redesign it. This company cannot exist. Tesla cannot exist 10 years from now. The way things are going,
it's very bad. The amount of
like those, like I don't know. I live in a place where, like, I drive by, factories that have been closed down my entire life, right?
Sure.
I don't see that happening in the space that Tesla is in. Like hold on. To the company's credit, like, those gigafactories are Tesla. The largest factories.
No, Tesla, because Tesla did a great job in boosting it up. But you do see, Lordstown Motors, for example, right? Wasn't that based in Ohio? And that was isn't Fisker?
That never happened.
Oh yeah, Lordstown never happened.
Both of those
Fisker did happen, and it died. Pretty epic. Unfortunately, epic death.
Marquez Brownlee.
Marquez,
why wouldn't Tesla exist 10 years from now, Asif?
Because this brand is in the toilet. There are people who they're setting charging stations on fire. They're harassing drivers. If you park your car for a long extended period, it's probably going to be vandalized in some way.
So if I can ask a question with all the ignorance in my mind, because didn't Volkswagen and, like, Hugo Boss have similar problems
in 1945,
back in the 40s?
Yes.
Not in 2000,
they were able to recover.
In 2025. No.
Right. So I didn't have that
Yeah, no. I think they weren't able to recover. The World War was waged, right? I'm not saying this like you don't know this, but what I mean is they had to because the entire country changed and politically the movement happened. This is Tesla.
And there wasn't already a precedent set.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, we've got the history to look back on and be like, you are treading the same
you are
path.
it is.
You cannot recover.
You can't do that. And I know
that photo shoot in front of the White House with the car, there is a very similar picture of Hitler talking about how great Volkswagen is in front of a Volkswagen.
That was a big. I loved Volkswagen as that was my jam. But that was like,
you had a Golf
also,
or a Jetta,
I
right?
had a Golf, I had a GTI, I had whatever.
Yeah.
And but that was like again 50 years after the World War. We got rid of our Teslas, by the way. Jill and I, we got rid of them on Monday. So now we're like just completely out of that thing. I think it's like they're also dealing with a lot of owners who believed in Tesla and the messaging and whatever. And I think those are people who just, the brand is burnt. So 10 years, unless this robot company, this robot, Optimus or whatever, unless this really is something, and there's a real shot that this is just more vaporware, I do think Tesla 10 years, I think that's even an overestimate, right?
I agree. I said it that way because it's impossible at the current trajectory that this brand will exist in 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's
my bet is Elon's gone as CEO by end of year, but that doesn't mean anything.
That's if they had a board of directors with any sense, John. They don't.
Fair enough, but you have a 52% decline in the stock in a month. But
it shouldn't have even gone up. It went up because he bought the election. It didn't go up because the fundamentals of the company were good.
Yeah.
It went up because all these idiot MAGAs were buying the stock because he's awesome, bro. It's like, no, the Cybertruck sucks. It's a piece of shit. It's hideous. It's like, they've been through bad cars before. They built the Model X, right? They had weird doors and it was hard to make, but he wasn't out there giving the Zig Heil with a presidential seal in front of him. That's the problem. That image, you cannot come back from that image. It's impossible. So a good board would remove him, but he bought that board. He's so rich that he owns the board. He owns the government. He owns this. He owns that. But everyone hates him. He's probably going to overdose, is my guess. But the only thing that can save that brand is if he dies or leaves. And I don't even think you can fix the brand, is my point. At this point,
fix the brand, because he'll still be the beneficiary.
But John, you've driven the car.
Yeah,
it's a great fucking car.
Yeah,
the Model
it's a shame.
3
It's a shame
car.
Yeah,
it would be a real nice car with an Apple logo on the front. That's all I'm saying. And with CarPlay built into it.
Yeah, I don't see how Tim Cook does that. I don't know.
He does it in a shrewd manner, man. He does it. I'm telling you, it will not be in a position of weakness that Tim Cook buys Tesla. It'll be looking over Elon like, oh, you need help, buddy? Your stock's at $50. I'll buy it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. There's a price. There's a price.
That's fair.
But to me, that's the lever you pull if you're Tim Cook. Where's the next $100 billion of revenue? Not at iPhone. It's at the Apple car.
Yeah,
I'm just saying
that's gone. Yeah, from a custom product.
But you're dead right. This has to be done in a way where the board's gone, Elon's gone. But there are really talented people who work at Tesla, and I feel so fucking bad for them right now. Because people who believe in electric vehicles in this mission, John, they are not Nazis.
No,
people who want to buy a alternative energy, brand. They're not MAGAs. And it's such a misunderstanding of your customer to do this.
Well,
and the people who are still cheering for him are...
By the way, I don't think it's a misunderstanding of the customer. It's a different customer that he's been trying to get. He had pickup trucks to sell to the Ford F-150 audience, which happens to be more MAGA leaning. I'm
and they don't even want to buy the Lightning. They don't even want to buy the F-150 Lightning.
Well, they're buying Cybertrucks, and so Elon he's not an idiot. I don't think he's a dumb.
I think he's on drugs. I think he's on drugs.
Yeah, he's on drugs. I just don't think. I think the strategy and what got him addicted to this, like not addicted to the drugs, but addicted to the right wing, was him trying to sell pickup trucks, moving to Texas, and all this shit. I'm sorry, man. Like it was all,
and all of it has backfired, in my opinion.
I mean, it's backfired long term, but like, yeah, I would say.
I think it's hurt the brand. I think
it's
leaving it was cool. It was cool. A fucking Tesla was being built in California by American workers.
Yeah, that
was cool. Had nothing to do with politics or anything. It was an American car company making cars in America.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Is that not what this whole fucking tariff thing is about?
Yep.
Like,
agreed.
So that's where I'm like, Apple, you could do something really interesting. Not here. I'm not saying right now, because I do not think the stock's worth $230 a share. I just said 50, right? We're talking about a stock that was 480 in December of last year.
Yeah.
It's already down here in the 230s. I am guaranteeing it drops below 200. Like 100% guaranteed.
Well, yeah.
This thing's dropping below 200.
Right.
And it's like, sucks for me.
I don't
I own the stock at $2 or whatever, so it's like whatever. But I think
that is it time to sell?
No, John, like, you know my time horizon.
Yeah, I know.
But also, like, the time to sell was at 480, and I actually called my brother, talked to him about it. We decided not to, because we were like, look, this is honestly, it feels like a hedge for government corruption, because let's say they keep doing this shit, whatever we're dealing with here.
It's your bet on douchebag economics.
Exactly. Like, because he's going to keep handing himself contracts. Like, they're going to buy. The fucking president bought one in front of a bunch of people.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
They're going to do government contracts for Teslas. Like, good luck, Rivian.
Yeah.
Good luck, Rivian.
Right.
I want Rivian to succeed. And maybe Apple should buy Rivian, John.
No,
that's all I'm saying.
I think Rivian is like one of those things that in 3 years either we'll know if it exists. I mean, it'll either exist or not. I think I think Volkswagen's going to buy Rivian. Frankly, I mean, they already invested $5 billion in that thing.
Yeah, they have that joint venture. Amazon.
And Volkswagen has seen much better days. And whatever. Let's see what happens. It's going to be interesting.
But yeah, my crazy idea for Apple: buy Tesla below 100 a share. Maybe don't just buy Tesla, just buy their factories, their IP or something. But like, I don't think that those factories will sit there and look like a steel mill in Canton. I just don't.
No, it won't.
I think it's too high tech of a factory. And if it's true that we're going to build everything in America, we're going to need a lot more fucking factories than we currently have. Anyway. So that's going to do it for our show. Thanks everyone who listened. We do have we have a community note. We got a few questions and comments from the Shack News community, which you can join by heading over to shacknews.com/chatty or by emailing us at sam.chandler@shacknews.com. Over there on YouTube, on the Haas Mamu corner, we have, he said, it's not a Joe's game without a dispute from Johnny.
That's right, baby.
The final two. Did we get the 2-minute report from last week, John? Have you heard from Adam Silver
I'm still
yet?
printing.
Oh, real quick about F-Zero. I think they listened to our podcast. They added a ticker to their game, Joe.
Okay.
It tells you upcoming events. So it's like, Grand Prix in this many minutes. This is Ace League. Like, it tells you what race is coming up. I think that's cool.
Is it dot matrix?
No. It's like actual I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it's not like ours. I don't know if anyone has anything as old school as our ticker, but also as active as our ticker. Shout out to Doug Bowser, who somehow can message us via ticker. Yeah. And they're still calling it the Shack News Extended Podcast Universe.
Hang on. It's coming through now. Yep.
Yes. Yep, they are. Sweet. So that's going to do it for today's show. Subscribe on your podcast app of choice and tune in every Friday for more Shack Together. If you made it this far into the podcast, you probably like us or hate listening to us. Either way, leave us a review, like our videos, subscribe to our channels. All that stuff helps. We are the fastest growing video games podcast in the known universe, according to analytics I pulled out of my butt just now. But it's 2025. You can say whatever the hell you want. We're the fastest growing podcast.
Deal with it. We did it, fellas.
Chelsea Brothers. So that's going to do it for our show. This is where we wave at the camera even though it's not on, and we say bye. I'll never forget you guys.
Bye. Have a beautiful time.
is a Shack News production.
Shack Together is a Shack News production.
Shack Together is a Shack News production.
Shack News is a multimedia company consisting of a variety of entertainment properties, including ShackNews.com, video game and cutting-edge technology coverage with evergreen video, guide, and long-read content, providing readers and viewers with the latest reviews, previews, interviews, and news. Shack News content is readable and viewable at ShackNews.com, Facebook, YouTube at Shack News Interviews, and Shack News VODs, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at Shack News Media, Twitch, and more. But that's not all. You can play Bubbletron, our first video game. Combine 3 ideas, hit the market, and get your money hat. Bubbletron is a daily game in the style of Wordle, where players can launch a company and see its valuation instantly. Hit that high score and brag to your friends. Visit Bubbletron.com to play. There is no download required, no signups required, but if you are into app downloads, we have the cutest one on the planet. It's called Shack Pets, the ultimate battle for cuteness. Swipe your pets to victory on iOS and Android in this Tinder-like app for pets. Shack News is proud to present a variety of micro products, all available for free at ShackNews.com. Cortex is a publishing platform available to all of our users. Shouts is a Twitter replacement in a time where Twitter really needs replacing. And Reader, an RSS reader that won't get shut down by Google anytime soon. You can import YouTube, subreddits, all sorts of cool stuff, even podcast feeds. And lastly, all of our products are completely free to use and play, so if you're a fan of what we're doing and want to support the Shack News ecosystem, head over to shacknews.com/Mercury. Mercury offers subscribers access to exclusive Shack News swag like hoodies and VIP access to our long reads in downloadable format. It's a great way to support us. There's different tiers, and you get a lightning bolt next to your name.